Genotype is referring to the genetic makeup. Phenotype is what's expressed, or what we actually see, what the final trait is, the final characteristic. So as an example, let's think about brown eyes versus blue eyes. Even though eye color turns out, no surprise here, that eye color is actually much more complicated than we initially thought. Traditionally, eye color has been represented as brown eyes being a dominant trait, with the gene and the allele for brown eye color being dominant, and the allele for blue eye being recessive. So what this means is that if we represent brown eye allele with a capital B and blue eye allele with a small b, if we were to look at the genotypes, the possible genotypes of brown-eyed individuals, a brown-eyed individual could have a genotype, that means their genetic makeup of capital B, and thus be homozygous and be brown-eyed, or they could have capital B, small b, so they carry one copy of the allele for brown eyes and one copy of the allele for blue eyes. But because capital B is dominant, that's what's expressed, and thus their phenotype is brown-eyed, even though their genotype is big B, little b. With blue eyes is a recessive trait, meaning that an individual who has blue eyes has to have two copies of the blue eye allele. So their genotype would be little b, and their phenotype would be blue. They're homozygous. Regulatory regions are sequences of DNA within the genome that regulate expression of particular genes. So they may increase the expression of a particular gene, or they may decrease the expression of a particular gene. And by expression, I mean increasing or decreasing transcription to translation to protein expression. But there are also genes that are regulatory genes that regulate complex interactions of other genes or their gene products ultimately. And what we're discovering is that these regulatory genes and these regulatory sequences, changes within those have been critical in our evolution. So what we see in the genome is that there are regulatory genes that regulate things, and then there are also genes that code for structural proteins. These are structural genes.